Hey everyone, David here from the Five and Dime, and I'm going to lay down this decoupage now. So the first thing I had to do is create a little bit of a template for each of the shelves because there is a little ridge that is inset that I need to be able to get this on. So the first paper that I'm using is the Parisian Vintage by Posh Chalk. And I'm using the Posh Chalk Deluxe infuser to lay my paper down. So there's a couple things that are really important with this. Number one is making sure you put a nice base of the infuser down. And then secondly is wet the paper because that'll give it its stretch so you can work it into all the little grooves. So all the little crooks and nannies. It's going to make the biggest difference of having a really good application that you're not going to have to worry about afterwards. Another really great tip on this is making sure you're using a dry brush in order to press your paper down in place, and really make sure that you're pressing it into those grooves because it is a basket weave. Make sure you're pushing it down really well. And I use the Scarlet brush by Dixie Belle Paint Company because it's a much stiffer brush and it really worked it into the grooves there. So, and that's going to be critical for making sure that this is a long-lasting application. The great thing with using these papers is that if you do find that you have an area that has wrinkles, etc., you can lift them quite easily because they are a rice decoupage paper. So now I'm coming on to the second shelf, and on the second shelf I use the paper which is the Antique Florals. And again, misting the paper really helps so that it'll stretch into place. And again, just really working it down into place and using that brush that's really stiff in order to push it down into the grooves and that. Once you're happy with it, giving it a top coat with the Deluxe infuser is going to seal it in place. For this type of application on a surface like wicker, I would suggest that you're being more generous with the Deluxe infuser than you typically would be when you're doing a decoupage project. And the reason being is that because you do have all those crooks and nannies that you need to make sure you're working it into and making sure that you have a space for adherence. This is not a flat surface. For the bottom shelf, I am using another one of the Deluxe decoupage papers by Posh Chalk, and this one is A Woman's Harvest. So although it's three different papers that are being used on the project, it is three papers that relate well in tone and colors, so it's not identical, but they complement each other really well. Another suggestion I have for you if you're going to be tackling a wicker piece with decoupage is make sure you do cut it slightly larger than the area that you're going to apply it to. Again, you're dealing with all those recessed and high areas, so you've got that basket weave that you need to work through, which means that your paper needs to go that little bit further. So I added, I think, about 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch more along each of the edges that I could. So here we go, still more to do, but stay tuned, follow along. Ciao for now.